Okay, females and performance enhancing drugs. So if you're a female looking to dabble in performance enhancing drugs and take your physique to the next level, this video is for you. So first things first, the first thing I want to address and things that we must get past is this idea or this notion that females are very much like males and we can just cut doses in half, give them the same drugs, utilize the same compounds, etc. That is the furthest thing from the truth. Males and females are very, very different hormonally and how they function. So we need to treat the stack and cycle design as such, okay? So as a female trying to implement PEDs, performance enhancing drugs, or physique enhancing drugs, the biggest factor that we are trying to avoid and ignore is going to be the process of virilization. So for those of you guys who do not know, virilization is essentially taking on masculine features as a woman. So things like hair growth, deepening of the voice, the jaw becoming a little more square, those are all symptoms or factors that can go into the process of virilization. Most women are trying to avoid this completely or limit it as much as possible depending on the category or what the goal is. So how do we avoid this? This is going to be the major key, and this is where most people go wrong. Most cycles, when it comes to females, they begin with Anavar because it is safer. And it's not an awful drug, and I'll get into that as this video continues. However, there are much better drugs that we can explore first before implementing any use of Anavar, right? And that's going to be any non-androgenic steroid or non-androgenic supplement. So let's dive into that. Number one, for a year-round compound, the one thing that I think any woman can benefit from, especially a competitor, is going to be the utilization of human growth hormone. This is non-androgenic. It has great fat-burning properties as well as muscle-building properties, and it's going to keep your hormones in a steady state as well as have no effects of virilization. So deepening of the voice, any extra hardness, anything like that, you avoid completely with the utilization of HGH. So that is one thing that you could take by itself and you will see significant amounts of progress. So if you are an athlete going to a contest prep, there are other non-androgenic PEDs that we can utilize and have at our disposal that are not going to cause this virilization as well. Things like your thyroid medications, T3 and T4 medications. Those will all help with the fat burning process, as well as have very limited side effects, especially when it comes to androgenic side effects, such as that will go into virilization. Another great PED that we can utilize in a fat loss phase is going to be the use of clenbuterol. Finally, one thing that you can run pretty much year-round, but especially in a contest prep phase, is going to be the use of metformin. So metformin is like a GDA on steroids. So the better that you can partition food and utilize the nutrients that you're consuming, the more muscle you're going to accrue and the better ability that you'll have to promote fat loss. So those are some non-androgenic PEDs that we can utilize and really take advantage of before we dive into anything that could have any effect on virilization. So once you've exhausted those, then what do we do, right? First things first, get labs. Trust your coach, talk with your coach or a doctor. See where your labs are at naturally. Then I would look at your testosterone numbers. If your testosterone is on a lower end of a spectrum, I would look into the utilization of HRT or TRT. So testosterone replacement therapy, hormone replacement therapy. Testosterone really gets a bad stigma among females because the injection of testosterone can sometimes cause a bump in estradiol or E2. People think E2 is the devil. It is not. Of course, you don't want it to be elevated too high because it can cause water retention. It can make it harder to lose body fat. However, we do need a healthy amount of estradiol to function, to lubricate your joints, improve your insulin sensitivity, etc. So estradiol is very, very important, both male and female. But especially as a woman, that is your main sex hormone. So we want to make sure that all those hormones are in line. However, if your testosterone is a little bit lower on the lower end of a spectrum, the utilization of testosterone is going to be much, much needed and advised for. Testosterone naturally occurs in a woman's body. Not as much as a male, however, it is totally acceptable and suggested that you can implement a testosterone replacement therapy if needed. I would look into 2 to 3 milligrams per week to start, and then go upwards of 10. You can titrate up slowly and see where your labs change to 10 milligrams per week. And that should be more than plenty to get you in an optimal range where you can burn fat, gain muscle, and overall be in an optimal state for a bodybuilding show, right? Okay, so finally, now we can go into some actual androgenic steroids that are more commonly pushed onto females. And these are going to be drugs that have purpose, but they should not be used until you've exhausted all other of these PEDs that we've discussed, okay? So my top 2 for females are going to be one injectable and one oral. I would urge those to look into the injectable first, just because it is a little bit better in terms of liver health and liver toxicity. And that is going to be primobolan. So primobolan is very much like a testosterone. It's an injectable, however, it is a DHT derivative, which means it does not aromatize to estrogen. So if you are utilizing TRT and you kind of want to bump up that number a little bit more without having to worry about adverse side effects of your estradiol getting too high, I would definitely look into primobolan. Also, going off of that, I would definitely urge people to stay away from any kind of AI or SERM, which is an aromatase inhibitor or a selective estrogen receptor modulator, such as Arimidex, Aromasin, Nolvadex. I would stay away from those. As a woman, you do not want to crash your main hormone, right? Finally, we can look into the implementation of oxandrolone or Anavar. So this is going to be an oral pill. A lot of times there's this notion that it's going to help women with fat loss, and that's simply not true. It helps keep muscle mass on during a deficit phase, which it can definitely be handy for females. However, I think the implementation of all those other PEDs that we have at our disposal puts Anavar kind of lower on our totem pole of drugs that we can utilize and really need, quote unquote, for a competition prep and to see success on a bodybuilding stage. So I really do hope that helps. I hope that gives a better breakdown and insight on where I would start most of my females on a cycle and progress from there. If you guys have any questions, male or female, in regards to PEDs, stack design, cycle structure, etc., please feel free to shoot me a message, drop down a comment, and I will see you guys in the next video. Appreciate you guys for watching.